Why does everyone in the Big Ten become Iowa?
Everything evolves to eventually become a crab.
Ryan Day wanted the crab fight.
This team has two claws and he wants to snip at you with them.
He will play like the crab if he feels threatened.
So first game was Georgia at Auburn. Georgia won 20-10, and we had a on the field reporter for the Claw State podcast. John, you're way more angry than I am, so I'm just gonna let you go first.
Gee, I wonder why that would be.
I have some coke to throw out there, but I'm gonna let you go first.
Paul, let me tell you something. The refs fucked us. Auburn win that game by 14 points if we don't have the refs getting involved in that shit. No, that game sucked because it felt like the momentum was so strong for Auburn, like coming out and scoring on an opening drive, which is not something we do in this town. Having the opportunity to go up 17-0 on Georgia at half and having it seized away. I don't know why we ran a tush push. We've never run a tush push in the history of Auburn football, but and turns out when you run a rugby play and you have no experience doing it, you might drop the ball a millimeter past the plane, but close enough that
Did you think it was a fumble? Because I thought it was a
did not
fumble
think
on TV.
I thought that it was not a fumble, but
Okay.
it was so close that I get that you have to go with whatever they called on the field, and they called a fumble on the field, whatever. Like,
Yeah, I agree with that. Whatever was on the field, I just felt should have been upheld.
yeah. I mean, it was so close. If it was a touchdown, or if you're talking like within an inch of either touching the plane or not touching the plane. Like,
Right, right. Can we
you've
acknowledge
got to just
that?
hold on to the football. Like,
Yeah, it wasn't fourth down either.
no.
Like they could have just run a different play.
Yeah.
They ran like a fourth down play.
You're you're so right.
But for getting that, like not to take over, but I wanted to say, like, after the fumble, I thought the bigger bullshit was like the 10 penalties in a row
Dude.
that Georgia got, because
I've
we were on the 2 yard line and we had no timeouts and like a minute left, and via PI targeting, what am I missing? Probably like a roughing.
roughing the passer
The
on
roughing
dude.
was bad. That was a
That
bad
roughing
call.
was total horseshit. That that was a sack. Like, that was just a sack.
I
And
I don't like stuff like this happening. Like it's too many dark-sided things happening concurrently. Like things like that happening on a football field like feel actually no, I think I said this already in the group chat. It feels like the plates of reality slipped for a second and you saw the mechanisms behind it and you don't like what you see. I don't like this. Like you shouldn't fumbling at the one is traumatic enough. Having 99 yards of slop afterwards that ends with I think it was a field goal, but any points felt so gross.
Yeah,
I
John.
on like it took my energy and I was at home.
it felt like a win that drive ended up in just a field goal, but like, I've never seen a team get marched down the field by penalties 99 yards like that. That was crazy. And the targeting, I can't understand what happened on that, because they announced a review to see whether the receiver caught the ball with a foot out of bounds or not. And then like 5 minutes later, after the TV timeout is over, they're like, Kay Lee's ejected for targeting. It's like, what? What? You guys were looking at that? Like,
Yeah, the targeting call, first of all, just ban targeting. I hate this fucking penalty so much, and it benefited my team. And also,
twice.
yeah, it's worse too because then Georgia didn't get called for a targeting later. Like, so that's why I'm like, just stop calling targeting as a rule. It was that and I did think the PIs were legit, but
Yeah,
the targeting and the roughing was like total bullshit.
yeah.
Sorry, continue. You were talking about the fumble, the 1 yard play. We got a
The
little derailed.
yeah,
The
the
game got
fumbles,
derailed.
whatever. It
No, so, yeah.
yeah, the game did get derailed. It sucked. It sucked to watch in person. The uh the 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 last thing I'll say about the tush push fumble is that the Georgia's first touchdown when they tied it at 10, like they didn't even look at it, and it was the exact same thing. It was like a running back getting bent over at the goal line, and the ball like maybe crosses, maybe doesn't. And it doesn't matter because that was on like a first or second down, so Georgia does score on that drive. But I was looking at that, and everyone in the section with me was like, "So what? We have a different definition of what's crossing the plane for these two teams. That's cool." Um, but no, at the end of the day, as mad as I am about the fumble call, as mad as I am about Georgia being gifted 3 points and 99 yards via penalty. Auburn had 25 yards of offense in the second half. Like,
We got to talk about that. We got to talk about the first half performance, how good it was. Because it was really good. I think what Auburn's first three drives are like what 75 yards, just like unstoppable machine down the field, and then the second half being completely shut out. What happened? Is it really just a momentum thing? Because like I kind of refuse to believe that because it can't be momentum. Momentum can't account for that big of a turnaround, right?
yeah, I mean this has been a pretty consistent thing under Hugh Freeze is that like the team does not react to adversity well, and whether it's, you know, throwing a pick six or getting a touchdown overturned or getting some bad penalties, it's like they just shut down and start shitting their pants. Like it's and man, the play calling is not good. It was good in the first half though. I don't know, man. I don't know what to make of this team other than that we're kind of ass.
Yeah, okay. I'll give a little perspective because I watched that first half as a Georgia fan, and I was weirdly completely straight-faced and calm as we were just being destroyed every drive. Because I do know I was like, I guess in the second half, I know the defense will play like out of their mind because that seems to be what we do this entire season is we just go out there, fucking suck the entire first half, somehow not be down as much as we should be and then play much better in the second half. That's like the pattern across the board. Um, Auburn's defense, I thought, played was just living in the backfield the entire first half. I mean, I think Georgia had like 10 plays in the entire first half. Like at one point, it was horrific. So,
Like
I just want to note
I think there
that.
was like some point where it was like 100 plus yards for Auburn's offense and like 12 for no 12 for Georgia. I think it was bad. Maybe I'm mixing that up with something else, but it was 12 yards or 12 plays. It was
No, yeah, the first
lights out.
after Auburn's first two drives and Georgia's first drive, it was like 150 yards to 12.
Yeah, and it was interesting because I listened to the post-game interviews from both Kirby Smart and Hugh Freeze, and Kirby Smart, they asked Kirby Smart what he said at halftime, or what did he change at halftime, and he said nothing. I just told them to strike their blockers and pursue the ball better. And I'm like, so you just told them to play football better? Like that was your advice? I guess that worked. But
Yeah.
like he basically just said that they played the zone run better, which is what Hugh Freeze also said in his presser. He was like, they started playing the zone run better, and that seemed to make the difference. I just feel like Auburn abandoned the run game because the first half they were running the ball really well, inside outside. Second half they just start throwing it a lot, and I just don't think that's the strength of their team at all. And like that was the offensive lack of productivity to me.
Yeah. No, you're right about that. I mean, that's been another pattern with Hugh is just immediately, like the first time the run doesn't work, it's like, okay, we can't run anymore. Jackson, do your thing. And Jackson's thing is not excellent, but yeah, it's extremely this football team is extremely frustrating to watch.
Can we talk about the timeout thing with Kirby Smart? Okay, because I
Dude,
want to revoke my initial statement. Because
yeah.
all right, okay, because when I first watched it, I was like, I thought he called timeout. Then on the replay on TV, I thought, okay, he was saying that the Auburn team is clapping to provoke a false snap, which he was, but then he was, but that was, so then I thought, okay, they misinterpreted him call it. He didn't actually call timeout. Then I rewatched it with a different angle on Twitter. And so he does call timeout. And then after calling timeout, he goes up to the refs and tells them they're clapping. And then I think the refs thought that he said that he didn't call timeout. And then
Yeah.
in the post game presser, Kirby goes, "I didn't fucking call timeout." He just denies everything. So I'm just like, I don't know what happened. I have no clue what
Dude,
happened.
in the edit at this very point, we've got to show the like 3 second clip of him running down the sideline, clearly screaming timeout. Like,
It was so blatant. It was so blatant. I don't know what I don't know in women's basketball. A lot of the refs get called in like regionally. I'm not sure exactly how it works in the SEC, but I know for a lot of conferences, the refs just come in from like their like region that they work. It's like they're contractors or something. And sometimes it's like the middle of February, it's conference play, things are getting a little too physical, players are hurt, and people have tendencies that they've exposed. And now some guys or gals get a little too aggressive. And because there is such a variance in women's basketball player like heights, some of the fouls can look really bad. And refs just lose control of the game as it goes on, and they're constantly battling between like, do I insert myself in this or do I let them play out because that's the nature of the sport? And it felt like a women's basketball game here in the middle of February, which makes no sense because every time I look away and look back at this game, there's a ref watching the game on TV like I am. Like everything had to be reviewed, and they still had no control over the game from the coaches to the players to the ball. it's I don't know what else you do. Like SEC refs are like some of the most well paid. Like we were tuned in to the SEC media days about how they were going to start doing things differently. We talked about like that rule change with the line like shifting at the last second before the snap. Like I feel like we're more tapped in to SEC referees than the average person is. And still, I watch this game and go, how does this happen? As hard as their job is, you you can't let this keep being a thing, especially for Auburn. They're paying more attention now. Like if you
God.
weren't tapped in before, it's the only thing you have left to watch this season. Please figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks. The refs being a storyline sucks at all points for every team, but it being a storyline for two painful losses for Auburn sucks. Granted, I am not saying that the refs cost Auburn those games. Auburn played poorly against Oklahoma and Georgia and lost because of it. But like the timeout thing is just absurd, man. Like I didn't know that you could call a timeout and then run up to a ref and lie and say you didn't call a timeout and they'll stop the play and stop the clock on what would have been a delay of game and not charge a time. Like it doesn't even matter if Kirby had just been clapping then and the refs thought he called a timeout and they stopped the game. They have to just charge him a timeout because they stopped the game. It doesn't matter if they had missed it. And they didn't even miss it. They correctly called a timeout. Kirby was screaming time.
It's just so funny. I love that he's my head coach. I love that he just ran up, called a timeout, and then said, "No, I didn't." And then at the end of the game had
It
a
wasn't
timeout
me.
left. That's the funniest part is at the end of the game we had a timeout left. So he didn't even end up using the timeout he saved. That's even the better part. Yes, you're right. Objectively, like the way you remediate or you fix this situation is you either give us a delay or force a charge of timeout. That's all it is. You can't just redo the play. But
Yeah.
evidently the next play we get down to the one and then they call a blindside block, I want to say, on Cash Jones, immediately pull back, and then we miss the field goal. So ultimately, Auburn was not
Yeah.
it didn't cost Auburn, and I guess Georgia never used the timeout, but it was emblematic of like complete incompetence. I mean, and it did cost time, to be
Yeah.
perfectly fair. So but it didn't matter in that
Yeah.
sense.
There was one other penalty that I want to highlight, and there was a on an Auburn punt return that was a fair catch. Auburn got called for a chop block, and I don't know. I didn't even know that was a thing that could happen. And they didn't show replay on the Jumbotron because it probably was a chop block, and the Auburn people up there probably didn't want to show it to us. But it's a fair catch, man. There wasn't a return. Why are you decking someone if you're on Auburn special teams? Like,
Because you're frustrated. You're
yeah,
pissed
true.
off at the entire game, and now you're going beyond the whistle in stuff that's extracurricular. They lost control of the game. They lost control of the game, and it adds up. And now you're in the heart of your season, and people are beat up and tired and pissed off. And what can you do? Shrug your shoulders.
Yeah. It,
I I,
yeah.
I just want to ask because like as a Georgia fan, I'm just like I do feel like we probably would have won because we played so well in the second half, but forgetting that, does Auburn want to fire Hugh Freeze? Because like
Yes.
he probably should have like won. Like if a lot of like objectively bullshit things didn't happen, he probably wins the game.
Yeah, and this is a good opportunity to kind of exit this game in particular and go into a broader Hugh Freeze discussion for Auburn. The it's it's much more frustrating as a fan to be so close and losing than to just be total ass and losing. Because when you're really bad, you're just like, okay, whatever. Like we're gonna go out there and get some cardio for 16 minutes or 60 minutes, and we're gonna we're gonna move on with our lives. But like this is three winnable games in a row that have been lost by Hugh, and the way the rest of the schedule breaks out, like you're looking at you have to beat Arkansas, Kentucky, and Mercer to go to a bowl game. And you can definitely do it to Kentucky and Mercer. Arkansas, you know, we'll see how the Bobby Petrino experience bears out in a few weeks. But like the other games are Missouri, Vandy, and Bama. And Bama's a home game, Missouri's a home game. You know, some voodoo magic could happen in Jordan Hare. It didn't happen last night. But like this is the expectations set at the beginning of the year were that like this team should be at 8 or 9 wins with the talent on the roster. And when we're losing games that are all winnable, it's I don't know. I don't see an improvement even though the base talent on the team has gotten like back to an SEC level since Harsin was here. And we're gonna have the same record that we did last year with a
But
much better team.
are you a quarterback away? I guess is more my question.
I don't think so. I A quarterback's not calling zero handoffs in the second half.
Yeah, fair enough. Josh, any final notes on this? Because I think I'm going to talk about the Auburn coaching job in like a later segment, so I want to save it for
Okay.
a minute there because I actually think that there's some great names that are going to be on the market that you could get. Just saying. Josh,
No,
anything?
I'm fine. I'm fine. We can go to the next game. This is a big, like, forgive us, listeners, for this clunker of a fucking game taking up such premium real estate on our show. But this is one of the Super Bowls on this podcast, and it felt like I don't have an analogy. It just felt bad the entire way.
It
I
sucked
thought
to
it.
Next
watch. We
game,
can all agree that it sucked to watch.
yeah.
I liked watching the
Shut
second
up,
half.
dude. Never mind.
Anyway.